I spend a lot of money on shoes. There is a whole community, mainly based around, it's very heavily based around hip hop actually, because a lot of hip hop artists collaborate with big brands such as Nike, Adidas, and they come out with shoes that are very limited, um, and the supply and demand is very different, so they cost a lot of money. People think it's crazy. It's not something that people normally do, but I'm really into the whole community of sneakers. I would say a lot of my friends, they know me for the shoes I wear. They think it's kind of crazy that I spend so much, and they don't really know the whole sneaker community and what it does, but I just absolutely love it. So this is a Yeezy 350 Boost collaboration between Kanye West and Adidas. Originally, Kanye worked with Nike and released a few pairs of shoes through them. Those now sell for upwards of like $5,000 just because they're so limited, and they don't sell them anymore, obviously. So if you were lucky enough to get them when they first came out, uh, for maybe $200, you could sell them for thousands now. But yeah, this shoe costs. I won this in a ticket raffle at Foot Locker. It cost $220. Um, I've been really lucky with these. I've actually had four pairs of. They have different colorways, the colors of these. I've had four pairs, sold two of them on, um, and basically made my money back. I guess the highest amount I've paid for a pair of shoes was 220, which was a very fair price because it was retail. I usually get all my shoes for retail. I luck out with raffles and giveaways and stuff, but they end up. I can resell them for upwards of $500. Yeah, it's a good way to make money and profit. I guess a lot of people think that they're just sneakers. They're made for maybe a couple bucks in a factory, and the amount that they go for is insane. I just think that's crazy, and I take advantage of the market that is surrounding all of these sneakers. Well, the sneaker community is largely based around reselling shoes. Basically, people buy shoes for the retail price. The sneaker marketplace takes in billions of dollars every year, and that money is totally out of the hands of big corporate companies because they sell it for a certain price, and people take that shoe and sell it for 3 or 4 times as much because supply and demand, and it's crazy. Companies hate it. There are streetwear companies that hate it because people sell their stuff for more than they sold it for. So yeah, it brings in billions of dollars each year. The reason I'm in college is basically I obviously love film and I want to pursue that as a career. I think the sneaker business can be a side thing, reselling sneakers. I really want to get more into it and being able to make a small business out of it, per se. Yeah. I guess the origin of that, watching different YouTubers who focus on like sneakers and buying and selling. I just loved the idea of that, and I fell in love with sneakers maybe a year and a half ago, and it's just been uphill ever since. I've been addicted, constantly looking at prices of sneakers and seeing the fluctuations of different, how they change over the years. It's crazy. Uh, the fact that some sneakers can go upwards of $25,000 depending on how rare they are. There are certain sneakers out there that go for tens of thousands of dollars. When Eminem collaborated with Nike, they made an Air Jordan 4, and it was only friends and family, so basically wasn't put on shelves at all, just given out to close friends and family and high up people at Nike. And some people were able to get their hands on them, either being in Eminem's family or working for Nike. And the resale value, it actually isn't a resale because there was no original retail, but the value of those sneakers between $15,000 and $25,000, which is absolutely crazy. I don't think I could ever, if I had all the money in the world, I don't think I could ever get a pair of sneakers for $15,000, $20,000 and wear them. I would have to put them in a box, put them in a safe, keep them locked up. Okay, so there's a store called the Container Store, and they sell these little boxes, and they're meant for shoes. And I found out about these boxes through sneaker YouTubers. Basically, they cost $10 a box. They're these clear boxes with the little hinge door, and I store my sneakers in there, and I bring them out when I want to wear them. It basically keeps them safe and clean. And then I also buy cleaning kits for sneakers, so when they get dirty, I can clean them up, make them look nice. Um, yeah, it's all about, it's a minor kind of flex on people, but I don't do it. I don't think I'm better than anybody else just because I have the sneakers. I just do it for me personally because I think it's fun. I think it's a good way to make money. I think it's a good business.
Sneaker stuff.
Man, I don't even know. I used to collect a lot of things when I was younger. Baseball cards, Pokemon cards, just anything I could get my hands on. Rocks, different types of minerals and stuff like that. Just the weirdest little knickknacks. I, when I traveled the world, I used to always collect Tic Tac little boxes from around the world and Coke and Fanta bottles from around the world. I still have them in my room at home. So that just led me up to.
Zoom in.
I feel like that.
Hang on.
Yeah. I would say the weirdest thing I've collected is rocks. Just because I would often just collect rocks just because they looked cool. And then I had this huge bin of rocks, and it's just annoying to like have just because it's a heavy box of things. I don't know what my parents really thought about it. I was with a friend back in middle school. We were by his house next to a river, and there were these collections of these, I don't know the exact name, but there were these red rocks, and he just had tons of them. They were broken down from some other big boulder, and they had just collected in the stream, and we just started picking them all up and collecting them. It was the weirdest thing, but I thought it was so cool at the moment. I don't know. There was a certain color about them. Obviously, the ones that were in the little stream were obviously smoothed out because the water had eroded them, and these were like these big, bulky red rocks. They were strange looking, very sharp edges and whatnot. Well, before I ever got into the sneaker collecting, all those things that I collected were just stored in boxes and bins. So it took up so much space in my room, and I never really used it. It was just I just had it, forgot about it. Um, but I guess that really got me into collecting. In the back of my mind, I always was a collector. Hmm.
There's aspect of it that's really logical. And you make, especially these sneaker things, you know, buy them, rarity, value, resell,
Mhm.
so on. And there's another aspect to it which is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there are people, like, for example, there are people who, you hear about them every number of years, people who are, what are they called? Um, there's a name for it, I can't think of it. There's even a reality TV show about them. It's people that.
Oh, oh. Did they bring in items and they get valued?
No.
No,
I'm
not
talking
that.
about people that. My grandmother was one. When my grandmother died, she was on the news because her house contained 70 years of newspapers and old Easter candy.
Mm-hmm.
Because she was a
Hoarder?
A hoarder.
Is that the word?
Hoarder. What?
Yeah.
What? So collecting and hoarding are really right next to each other, aren't they? Roll tape, please.
Yeah. I would say they definitely are right next to each other. It's a very thin line between them. As far as collecting goes, collecting is having what you like and you know everything about all the things you have, such as sneakers. I know all the sneakers I have and nearly everything about them, what they look like, blah, blah, blah. Hoarders, I think, just collect stuff and they just keep it and they don't care about it. They just don't look at it. And then eventually their house gets filled up with thousands of different things. I would say my family does travel
Why
more
is
than
that?
most people. I don't know. We love to just be outdoors and camping and going to different places. Um, Other than my bank account uh, being not empty, but when I buy shoes, it obviously costs a lot of money. So, I mean, I still love it, but that's like the only troubling thing about it is actually deciding what sneakers to buy because there's so many sneakers out there. It's such a hard decision for people in this community to make decisions because there's so many choices and you want to spend your money wisely, obviously. You don't want to buy a pair of sneakers just because you think they look cool and then a few days later you're like, oh, there's another pair of sneakers that just released and I want those now. You have to be smart about it and you have to know what you want. whenever I talk about it with my parents, I'm like always talking about sneakers, and they obviously care about what I do, but they find it annoying sometimes that I'm just always talking about sneakers to them and saying, "Oh, what do you think about this? Should I buy this or this? Do you think this looks cool? Do you think that looks cool?" It's a very they don't understand why I would spend so much money on sneakers, but in the same way, they spent money on stuff that they loved back when they were younger. I've talked to my dad about this. He bought $1,000 record player. It was the top technology of the time, and he loved it. And his parents looked at him like he was crazy. And I feel the same bond, I guess. It's definitely not exhausting. I think about sneakers pretty much every hour that I'm awake. I try not to think about it during class and everything, but it always comes back. I'm always thinking about sneakers. I'm always thinking about what I'm going to buy next, what I'm going to sell next. It's always looking at prices and how the market has fluctuated in the past month. It's always on my mind.
How about zoom out a little bit? How about when you go to bed at night? Do you find what is your mind doing? Like, give me a specific example of what your mind is doing as you're going to bed.
Um, I mean, mainly relaxing. I try to not think about anything when I go to bed. Or sometimes I do think about like nice, happy thoughts, I guess. And sneakers are associated with happy thoughts because it just makes me happy just thinking about them. Um, but let's say I'm going to sleep and the next day a very limited pair of shoes is releasing. I'm always so excited and I can't sleep because I know that at 10 o'clock in the morning these shoes are releasing and thousands of people are going to be online trying to get this pair of sneakers, and 95% of them are going to not get the sneaker. It's always about the race and the luck, and it's a competition. So we have a name for ourselves. We call ourselves sneakerheads, just because of our addiction to sneakers, basically. Okay, well, like I said earlier, I'm always thinking about sneakers every waking hour of the day. Um, so it does get in the way of some things, such as school. I could be wanted to try and focus on school, but then I just think about sneakers or what clothing is releasing, stuff like that. Um, yeah. the saddest experience is me when I have tried to get a pair of shoes and I was unsuccessful. And we call that taking an L, a loss. I remember back in 2016, I knew that a new Yeezy was coming out, and I woke up kind of early just to be prepared for it, have my computer ready to, on multiple different foot site websites such as Foot Locker, Finish Line, Adidas, and just basically when it hit 10 o'clock, just be on the splash page, which is a page where they let you through randomly. And I waited there for about an hour and a half, and I just sat there just waiting to get through, just hoping that I would get through to the page. And I never got through, and I had to go do other things, and I was kind of disappointed, but another day, more sneakers will be released. That would just devastate me. I would be devastated. Sneakers are such a huge part of my life. I've put a lot of money into it, and I put a lot of devotion and time into it. Time is very important, and I put so much into it.
So what would you do?
If I couldn't collect anything anymore, I would just move on. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I would do with myself. I'd be lost. Probably just go about with my normal day, not thinking about sneakers. Although sneakers would still always be on my mind, even though I wouldn't be able to buy or sell or collect them anymore. Maybe eventually I would get rid of them in my mind, but it won't happen for a long time.